when it comes to the 2020 Stanley Cup play-in series, as well as the playoffs that will take place after those play-in series, there have been many opinions from those in the media, those amongst fan bases, and those who actually play on the ice as to whether or not it's actually a desirable outcome to even go out there and start playing again. That's a big mouthful, but I wanted to talk today about this specific idea on whether or not the NHL should, would, or maybe even consider canceling its season, because it's not just people who are on Twitter talking about this. It's people almost everywhere. Not only is it on Twitter, people bringing up the health concerns of the beer bug virus, people on Reddit talking about what could happen if the worst case scenario hits, and people in my comment section as well, talking about whether or not it's actually safe to go along with a season like this, putting younger players at risk, putting older players at risk, putting players with extenuating health circumstances at risk, and whether or not that's actually valuable to go forward with that. So it's been something that has been brought up, and it's been widely debated as more cases of the beer bug have been presenting itself, especially throughout America. Although with the discussion that the hub cities may just be in Toronto or Edmonton, that could be the NHL's way of trying to placate those fears. But earlier on in the video, I talked about how it wasn't just fans and media talking about this. It was also the players themselves. Today we're taking a look at a Twitter thread from Eric Engels. Now, Engels is the guy who mostly covers Montreal stuff. If you've been following the Canadiens and you've been watching my videos on the Canadiens, you would see Eric Engels' name pop up quite frequently. But he posted this long thread on Twitter that I think is really valuable to actually take a look at, that goes over the NHL players' desires and what they're doing to put up with those desires. Over the last 2 days, I've been speaking with players from around the NHL who are quite concerned about a return to play. I'm going to paraphrase some of those sentiments over the few tweets here. I want to stress every player I spoke with requested anonymity for obvious reasons. The first tweet says that one player said a majority of the players do not want to return to play this summer. It's estimated about 75% are of this belief. Though they're concerned with the financial pitfalls of that decision, they're more concerned about risking contracting the virus or a serious injury before cramming in the 2021-2022 season. Another player Eric Engels talked to said that calls with the NHLPA have been a joke, and that they only really revolve around the financial situation. Another player shared the following opinion after acknowledging that players will likely vote yes to the eventual proposal that gets brought to them. Everyone is going to play. No one is going to opt out. The playoff bonuses will be higher than ever if we play, and that's free money. Hockey is a different culture than other sports. No one is opting out. All the players I spoke with are frustrated about being kept largely in the dark about how they'll safely be able to resume play. Now obviously, these are just opinions from a select few players in the NHL, but if we were to take all of these as 100% truth, then take a look at some of the numbers here. 75% of the players really just genuinely don't want to play due to safety concerns? Since this has kind of leaked out into the public now, and obviously the names are anonymous, so we're not going to be able to know who said this, does that not put you in a position to acknowledge that maybe canceling the season would not be the worst thing in the world? If 75% of the players involved are thinking to themselves, yeah, I would rather just not play. Sure, we're probably going to play, and we're probably going to vote yes because money. But if it were up to me, taking money out of the equation, I would rather not play. I don't want to risk the safety of my family, myself, my teammates in participating in a short-lived play-in series or a full-on playoffs that is taking place in the weirdest circumstances of weird circumstances. That idea to me is something that is so valuable, especially because it's coming from the players themselves, that I honestly think we could see some potential of canceling the season, bringing itself more into the spotlight as the days, as the weeks, as the months go on. Who knows? Maybe after this Eric Engels Twitter thread goes public, which it already has, I'm just saying this in hypothetical terms, we see more NHL players contact media folk, contact Eric Engels, and they say, yeah, please keep me anonymous, but I saw the Eric Engels thread and I gotta say I agree with it. This is what my teammates think about the situation. I believe it would be in our best interests to stop playing, even if the monetary compensation for that could be tremendously negative. I have no doubt that at least one NHL player out there who agrees with these ideas is going to come out and message somebody in the media for them to publish this publicly. And of course, these are three different opinions shared. The first one says that most players don't want to go back. The second one says that the NHLPA is a joke, and the way that they're talking about things, they're only caring about the money. And the third one says that even though people don't want to risk danger with safety and precautions and health and all that, they're going to vote yes anyway because they want that money. There's definitely a lot of perspective to go around here. Now, this is my own speculation, but because Eric Engels is a primarily Montreal-based beat reporter, it would be fair to assume that one of these three comes from the Montreal Canadiens. I'm not too sure. That's just my own personal opinion based off of what Eric Engels has reported on in the past. But with the way the beer bug situation has been handled, especially in America where cases are only going up and up and up, it's easy to see why there's a genuine concern about something like this affecting the entire NHL. In a worst-case scenario, you have several players who get infected in one game, mind you, and all of a sudden, what? A team has to drop out because most of their players are out? What's going to happen to them long-term? Not everybody who recovers from the beer bug is able to live with the same physical demands that they were able to beforehand. A lot of people who I've seen who have contracted the beer bug have extreme long-term effects with the way that they breathe, with the way that they're able to walk, with the way that this whole virus affects their inner workings, and subjecting some of your NHL athletes to that could be, in a worst-case scenario, one of the worst things that you can do. And there's only more fuel to the fire when you take a look at how the NHL is going to want to treat these kinds of issues. Vancouver is out of the NHL hub city bidding because Vancouver, which is in BC, which has been managed by Dr. Bonnie Henry, which has been doing great when it comes to containing the beer bug, BC was like, yeah, we have our own regulations in place. This is what is safe. This is what we're going to do if X amount of players get infected. And the NHL was like, nah, we don't want to do that. We want to get a little bit more lax on these terms. We don't want to play in an environment where the rules are if any of our teams get infected, then we slow down the play-in series, we stop up a series, and the whole process gets delayed. We don't want to do that. And the fact that the NHL was so adamant on not going by the rules that Vancouver set, when Vancouver is one of the more safer cities in North America when it comes to the beer bug, that kind of scares me. And we noted this in that video before the draft lottery talking about Vancouver news and the hub city, but the fact that the NHL is so interested in the Ontario side of things, and they're interested because of the Ontario policy that they have, where if you're positive with the beer bug, you can still go to work as long as you're asymptomatic, that is really, really weird to me. I said this in the Vancouver video, but I believe a lot of people watching this one aren't Vancouver fans necessarily, so I'll say it again here. In Vancouver, you know the policy. If you cough, you stay home. No questions asked. And because these protocols are the status quo, it's kind of why BC and Vancouver have been so good in contracting and shutting down this beer bug. Because the NHL is in a position where they don't want to go by Vancouver's rules, when Vancouver has been safe this entire time compared to other cities, that scares me. And now that NHL players have come out and been like, yeah, it's really not a good thing to go back, but we're going to do it anyway because we want the money, that is rubbing a little bit more salt in that wound there, in my opinion. So, comment down below what you think about this idea. Were you thinking about the NHL pausing up and canceling the season itself beforehand? Was that something that you thought was valuable? Is that something that you think is more valuable now that we've gone through these Eric Engels tweets? Because I know for me, for sure, earlier on I had my doubts as to whether or not the NHL would be 100% safe in the way they would do these things going into their play-in series in the playoffs. But now, with all the players coming out saying, yeah, we're not really all that confident that this league is going to handle things properly, then I don't know, there's a different vibe that's being struck within me when I think about the NHL and its protocols now. Will we see an NHL cancellation of the season? Maybe. It's certainly been something that people have talked about, but
it's definitely not a topic that I think is going away anytime soon. So comment down below what you think about this idea. I hope you've enjoyed this video. So Trolls99, and bye.